So today we are doing a deep dive into the DNA of achievement, really. We're going to break down James Clear's modern masterpiece, Atomic Habits.
hmm
Our goal here is to take all that complexity and just distill the actionable core of the system for you.
Yeah, and this is a book that, it genuinely changed the way a lot of people think about progress, myself included.
Right.
We're not just summarizing, we're trying to pull out the operational manual for building good habits and, just as importantly, breaking bad ones.
And the power is all right there in the title, isn't it? Atomic.
It is.
It means two things. First, it's an extremely small amount, like a tiny, almost invisible change, but it's also the source of, immense energy.
Like an atomic reaction.
Yeah.
That's the core hook.
Yeah.
The aggregation of marginal gains.
And the math on that is just, it's kind of staggering when you actually look at it.
It is. If you get just 1% better at something every single day after a year, you don't end up just, 365% better.
Mm-hmm.
You end up 37 times better. It's the power of exponential compounding.
That's the one insight to hold on to. But of course, there's a dark side to that coin.
Oh, absolutely. That compounding works just as powerfully in reverse. Small negative thoughts, tiny avoidable stresses, a little bit of debt. Over a year, those become major, major problems.
The perfect real-world example of this is the story of British cycling.
Yeah, it's a stunning one. Before 2003, they were, historically mediocre is putting it kindly.
Right. One gold medal in almost a century.
Exactly. They were so irrelevant that a major bike manufacturer actually refused to sell them equipment. They didn't want their brand associated with that level of failure.
That's just brutal. So what changed?
They hired Dave Brailsford. And he didn't come in and, fire everyone or create some grand new strategy overnight. He introduced this philosophy of finding tiny 1% margins of improvement in everything.
Everything.
Literally everything. They redesigned the bike seats for better comfort. They rubbed alcohol on the tires for better grip. They tested different massage gels.
I heard they even had electrically heated overshorts.
They did, to maintain optimal muscle temperature. But the craziest one, for me, was painting the inside of the team truck white.
Why?
So they could spot even the tiniest speck of dust. It ensured the mechanics had a perfectly clean environment for working on the bikes.
That sounds completely obsessive.
It does, but that's the whole point of the atomic mindset, right?
Yeah.
No improvement was too small to be ignored. You add up hundreds of these tiny gains, and the result is, well, it's undeniable.
So what happened?
5 years later, at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, the British cycling team dominated. They won 60% of the available gold medals.
Whoa.
And they went on to win the Tour de France multiple times, a total transformation.
And that story is so important because it gets at the very first reason we all get so frustrated with change. We expect progress to be linear.
Exactly. And that expectation leads us straight into what Clear calls the valley of disappointment.
Right. It's that period where you are putting in the work, maybe for months, but the results just aren't matching the effort. You feel like you're failing.
But you're not. And the best analogy for this is the ice cube. Imagine an ice cube in a room. The temperature goes from 25 degrees to 31. You've put in the work, you've added the heat, but the ice cube is still just a block of ice.
Nothing has visibly changed.
But then it hits 32 degrees. That single 1-degree shift is the breakthrough. The ice begins to melt. All that previous energy, it wasn't wasted, it was stored. That is the plateau of latent potential.
Okay, that makes sense intellectually. But when you're 3 months in and you feel like you're getting nowhere, how do you know you're on a plateau and not just, doing the wrong thing entirely?
That's the million-dollar question.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is to stop focusing so much on the outcome. The key isn't just changing what you do, it's about changing who you are.
This is the identity-based habits idea.
Yes. Instead of, I want to run a marathon, which is an outcome, you shift to, I am a runner. That's an identity. Every time you lace up your shoes, even for a 5-minute jog, you cast a vote for that new identity.
And that builds this intrinsic motivation. I love the story of Brian Clark, the guy who chewed his fingernails for decades. He tried to stop with willpower, but it never stuck.
Right, but it finally stuck when he got a professional manicure.
The pride kicked in.
Exactly. He was no longer someone trying to stop chewing. He was suddenly the type of person who takes care of their nails. Once your pride gets involved, you fight to maintain the habits that support that identity.
So we have the foundation. Systems over goals, identity over outcomes. Now we need the architecture. And that's the 4 laws of behavior change.
Right, and they're all built around the basic habit loop. Cue, craving, response, and reward. But first, can we just address the myth that habits restrict freedom?
Yes, please. You hear that all the time, that routine makes life rigid or boring.
It's the complete opposite. Good habits automate the fundamentals. When your health and finances are on autopilot, you free up so much mental space for creativity, for deep thinking, for handling whatever life throws at you.
Okay, let's get into Law 1. Make it obvious. This is all about the cue.
And this is so important because most of our habits are just running on autopilot. We're not even conscious of them.
And that can be dangerous, or at least very awkward.
It can. I mean, the story of the retail clerk who instinctively cut a customer's credit card in half after processing a bunch of gift cards, or the former lifeguard who yelled "walk" at running kids in his new corporate office job.
That's hilarious.
It is, but it shows how a lack of awareness can lead to these tiny failures. So to fight that, you have to design your environment, make the cues visual.
Like the study at Massachusetts General Hospital?
Yes, Dr. Ann Thorndike's study.
Yeah.
She wanted staff to drink more water, but she couldn't just tell them to. So her team just added bottled water to all the refrigerators that previously only held soda.
So they just made the healthy choice the most obvious one.
That's all they did. Soda sales dropped by over 11%, and water sales shot up by almost 26%. No willpower needed. The environment did the work.
It's like those fly stickers they put in the urinals at Schiphol Airport.
Exactly. A tiny visual cue, a target, and it cut cleaning costs by 8%. Behavior follows the path of greatest visibility.
And a really practical way to use this is habit stacking.
You just link a new habit to an old one. The structure is simple. After I current habit, I will new habit.
So after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute.
Perfect. You're anchoring the new behavior to something that's already locked in.
Okay, that brings us to Law 2. Make it attractive. This is about the craving. We see the cue, now we have to want it.
Right. And to understand this, you have to realize our brains are wired for instant rewards. And modern society exploits that with what are called supernormal stimuli.
Like with processed food.
Exactly. Our ancestors sought out salt, sugar, and fat because they were rare and vital. Now, food scientists engineer products to have dynamic contrast.
What's that?
It's the combination of textures, like the crunchiness and creaminess of an Oreo or hot cheese on a crispy pizza. Natural foods have one texture. Your brain gets bored. These foods keep your brain from losing interest, so you eat more.
They're hijacking our biology.
They are. And it's all powered by dopamine. But the key insight here is that dopamine isn't the liking chemical, it's the wanting chemical. The anticipation of the reward is often more powerful than the reward itself.
So how do we use that for good habits?
With a technique called temptation bundling. You link an action you want to do with an action you need to do.
I love the example of the engineering student Ronan Byrne.
The cyclic spike.
Yeah. He wanted to watch Netflix but needed to exercise, so he hacked his stationary bike so Netflix would only play if he was cycling at a certain speed. He bundled his craving with his chore.
It's genius. And another way to make habits attractive is social norms. We are tribal creatures. We want to fit in. If you join a group where the behavior you want is the normal behavior, it becomes way more attractive.
Makes sense. Okay, Law 3. Make it easy. This is about the response, and it's governed by what he calls the law of least effort.
Our brains are fundamentally lazy. We will always gravitate toward the option that requires the least work.
And the big trap here is confusing motion with action.
Oh, this is a huge one. Motion is planning, brainstorming, researching. It feels productive, but you're not actually doing the thing. Action is the practice that delivers results.
We've all been there, spending hours researching the best running shoes instead of just going for a run.
It's a form of procrastination because there's no risk of failure. So the goal has to be reducing friction. Prime the environment. Make the action as easy as possible.
So like laying out your workout clothes the night before.
Exactly. Or the strategy of resetting the room. When you finish watching TV, you put the remote back, fold the blanket. You're not just cleaning up, you're priming the room for the next desired action, like reading.
A great personal one is just leaving your phone in another room until lunch. The tiny friction of having to get up to get it is often enough to break the mindless scrolling habit.
It's incredibly effective. And for big goals that feel overwhelming, you use the 2-minute rule.
Right. Read more becomes read 1 page.
Yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. The goal isn't to do the whole task, it's just to master the art of starting. The rest often takes care of itself.
So we've made it obvious, attractive, and easy. Now for the payoff. Law 4, make it satisfying, the reward.
And the challenge here is that our brains evolved for an immediate return environment. But we live in a delayed return world. Saving for retirement is good, but buying a coffee now feels better.
We need to update the cardinal rule of behavior change.
Yes, what is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. The key is to add a little bit of immediate satisfaction to habits with long-term payoffs.
The story about hand washing in Karachi, Pakistan illustrates this so well.
It does. The health workers knew that people understood that washing hands was important for health, but consistency was still low.
Because the reward not getting sick is delayed and abstract.
Precisely. So the team introduced Safeguard soap, a soap that foamed really well and had a great smell. The immediate sensory pleasure made the act of washing hands satisfying in the moment. That's what made the habit stick.
You have to invent an immediate reward like the couple who opened a savings account called Trip to Europe.
And every time they skipped eating out, they transferred $50 into it. The immediate reward of seeing that balance grow was more satisfying than the feeling of deprivation.
Another great strategy is habit tracking. The visual proof of progress is its own reward.
Yeah, like the paperclip strategy. Trent Duzmid, a salesperson, would start the day with a jar of 120 paperclips. After every sales call, he'd move one clip to an empty jar.
So satisfying just seeing that pile grow.
Gives you that little hit of dopamine. And the rule to make it sustainable is simple. Never miss twice. 1 day off is an accident. 2 days is the start of a new bad habit.
And you can flip this law, right? Make bad habits immediately unsatisfying.
Yes, through commitment devices. The writer Brian Harris had to pay his trainer $200 or wear a rival sports team's hat if he failed to track his food. Immediate pain is a powerful deterrent.
So that's the whole framework. Obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. We have the philosophy, we have the system. What at the long game? How do you sustain this once the novelty wears off?
That is the ultimate question. And the answer is that the greatest threat to long-term success isn't failure, it's boredom. When a habit becomes routine, it's no longer exciting. This is where amateurs and professionals diverge.
Amateurs rely on motivation. Professionals stick to the schedule even when it's boring.
And the way they stick to it is by operating in their sweet spot. This is the Goldilocks rule. Maximum motivation happens when you're working on tasks of just manageable difficulty.
Not so easy you're bored, not so hard you're anxious.
Exactly. You always need a slight challenge to stay engaged.
And as you move forward with these habits, there's a final strategic question you need to keep asking yourself.
The explore-exploit trade-off. You should spend maybe 80 to 90% of your time exploiting the habits that are already working for you.
But the other 10 to 20%?
That's for exploration. Testing new things, refining your process. This is what prevents the boredom that kills progress.
Which brings us to a final, really important question for you, our listener, to think about this week. As you start to build your identity, your habits, consider this. What is something in your life that feels like fun to you, but looks like work to others?
Because that intersection, where what you're naturally good at aligns with a challenge you enjoy, that's your Goldilocks zone. That's where habits are easiest to build and where your greatest compounding returns will be found. You have the system now. Go cast some votes for the person you want to become.